What are your learnings from these kind of interactions that you've had?
The first and foremost is that the moment any guest of whatever age group it is, from the next gens or the Gen Zs to the millennials.
From the Garden State, New Jersey, from one mom to another, it's time for Mom's Talk. Here's Avni.
Welcome, Supermoms, to another episode of Mom's Talk. Our today's Supermom guest is a radio jockey. Welcoming Annie Marwaha. Lovely to have you,
Hey,
Annie.
thank you so much, Avni. Thank you so much for making me part of the series.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me your time, Annie. Let's start off, Annie. Can you tell me a little bit about the show that you host?
The show I host is on a channel called 94.3 Radio 1, and my show
Mhm.
is a syndicated show that cuts across to all four major metros: Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, and Chennai. 12
All
noon
right.
to 4 p.m. usually, every day, Monday to Friday. It's a daily show. It's
Mhm.
called Afternoons with Annie. It's
All
where
right.
I talk about fashion, I talk about food.
Mhm.
I've featured a number of travelers, whether it's travel bloggers to just travel aficionados, people who love traveling, have taken
Mhm.
to traveling because they love doing it as a hobby,
Yeah.
not as a professional loan. To
Uh-huh.
even music. Music is very big indeed. I have this
Mhm.
segment called New Age Artists where I feature all the independent artists of our country, also
All
the
right.
artists who are based out of India.
Okay.
I have a big number of artists that do music that probably settled in, I mean, the Indian Americans or the Indian Australians or
Mhm.
the Indian Malaysians. There are
Uh-huh.
a lot of us who are spread across the globe. So the independent music that I feature is a very big segment because it actually brings these independent artists to the
Mhm.
listeners and gives them an idea of what new age music or what independent music is like. And
Uh-huh.
it's only
Uh-huh.
recently that our radio station also has started giving them a lot more support and playing out their music. So yeah, it's going to be a game changing scenario
Mhm.
with
Mhm.
this segment that I do. So yeah, I guess a lot that I talk about. And of course, I have also another segment that I recently started called Green is Cool. I speak to
All
every
right.
brand, every individual. Something that I
Mhm.
spoke about is very close to my heart. Every brand, every individual that is working towards making this planet a lot more cooler in
Uh-huh.
the green sense of the word, and
Yeah. Yeah.
that's been a very big new addition.
That's lovely. That's wonderful. So, any radio jockey, there's a special skill set that a person requires to be into this profession. How did you get into this profession?
Um, so when I was growing up, I've always loved the stage because I've been a performer. I've been on
Hmm.
stage doing various things, whether it's dance or a little bit of theater, and
Hmm.
also holding on to the mic really dearly. And that's something I
Uh-huh.
always found my peace with, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Although I did not have the ambition of becoming a radio jockey, I was actually looking at maybe putting myself into a human resource development sort of an index because
Okay.
I knew I was always good with people relations, public
Hmm.
relations, whatever it is you want to call it, was something that I was always good at. And I knew I wanted to be surrounded by people.
Hmm.
And I slowly realized that there are many avenues that I can be around people in, whether it's being on stage, whether it's a corporate job, a desk job where again I have to attend to people and things like that.
Hmm.
But somehow, while I was preparing for a typical corporate job, I had a little bit of free time
Hmm.
and I applied for this live in-house host job, which had just
Hmm.
sprung up in a newspaper back in the day when I was growing up. This is early 2000s. You
Hmm.
had cool jobs that used to be put out in newspapers. We didn't have the Naukris and the
Yeah.
LinkedIn's of the world back then.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I looked it up and I said, oh, okay, this is right up my alley because I love being on stage. let me just take it up since I have the time. I was doing my master's, and so I
Mhm.
said I should do something. I shouldn't wait this long to find
Mhm.
the job. Let's just take this up and see what happens. As soon as I went, they asked me to do a little bit of a demo. They liked what I did. I've always been a stage baby, and I
Mhm.
got the job. And well, it's been history thereafter. I've never had to look back because this was a live stage. And from there on, I
Mhm.
got picked by a radio station owner who liked my work when he saw me
Mhm.
at one of the events. And that's it. That's how radio also happened.
That's lovely. So, has it changed after you being a mother? Has anything changed
Uh,
in your way of working, or the way you host the shows on radio after being a mother?
oh, yes, why not? Being a mother, I think, changes a lot of your perspective. Not just being a mother, first of all, being a daughter in law,
Mm-hmm.
being a
Mm-hmm.
wife, being a daughter who has now moved away from her parents and living
Mm-hmm.
in this new family setup, change in lifestyle, change in things you generally do. There are a lot of changes that
Mm-hmm.
one goes through, and that's starting from marriage, moving on
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
motherhood. And of course, motherhood makes you a little more alert with things around you. So, yeah, your perspectives
Uh-huh.
change, your outlook towards life changes, your priorities, of course, change. And so, while
Yeah.
at one given point in time, I would love to eat out. Once you have a child at home, you have to be a little more responsible. So you try looking for the best foods around, or how you can maybe get it to the table by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I was
Mm-hmm.
pretty bad at that, by the way. I always needed help, still need help, but always tried in that area. So the kind of shows I did, the way I approached the show was also different because I realized, and I think as you move from one
Mm-hmm.
phase to the other, you realize that there are a lot of them around you like you who may need help.
Uh-huh.
If I have the platform
Yeah.
and the voice, why shouldn't I bring such discussions on radio? And that's what I've been trying to do for the past decade and a half now, a decade actually.
That's lovely. That's lovely, Annie. So, throughout this career of being a radio jockey, you must have spoken to so many people with different backgrounds, different age group, different professions. What are your learnings from these kind of interactions that you've had?
The first and foremost is that the moment any guest of whatever age group it is, from the next gens or the Gen Zs to the millennials, listen to the fact that they are going to be on radio, when they know about that, they
Mm-hmm.
have immense respect for this medium because it is
Mm-hmm.
one of the traditional as well as at the same time a very progressive medium that
Mm-hmm.
people love listening to, the medium of audio. It helps
Mm-hmm.
create images, it helps create stories in your mind, and you sort of have an instant connect with the story of the person you're listening to. So there's an instant connect you
Mm-hmm.
develop with the
Mm-hmm.
person that you're listening to, also, not just his or her story. So
Mm-hmm.
they are more than willing to share their story on radio. And it's interesting to see how we have progressed in various areas. A more
Mm-hmm.
inclusive sort of a mindset that we have now become, which
Mm-hmm.
is more than welcoming. When I was growing
Mm-hmm.
up, I know there wasn't even the concept of LGBTQAI. We didn't even have the
Mm-hmm.
L of the
Yeah. Yeah.
LGBTQAI plus. But today we have a whole host of people who have formed this staunch community full of
Mm-hmm.
support to those who have been ostracized in the past, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
transgenders to transsexuals to lesbians, gays,
Mm-hmm.
everybody in the community and the extended
Yeah.
families and extended community. So the
Mm-hmm.
inclusiveness you see in people today is heartwarming. It is really
Mm-hmm.
heartwarming. So um, I think radio as a platform and the kind of guests I have on my show has shown me the pace at which, as a country and the mindset of our country is growing,
Mm-hmm.
and I have
Mm-hmm.
only seen mostly good things.
Any particular thing that you have adapted, one of the learnings that you might have adapted in your personal life?
Conscious living, I love to talk about this because I do that on my show as well. Being
Uh-huh.
mindful, uh,
Mm-hmm.
having a vision where sustainability comes into the picture at a very individual level. This is something that I
Mm-hmm.
have been propagating on my show quite a lot for the past few years. And the pandemic has made it even more real and
Mm-hmm.
brought it so much more closer to our homes, making us
Mm-hmm.
realize that it just takes one virus to derail everything we have been doing for decades together. And so, if
Mm-hmm.
we don't correct our ways now at a very individual level, then of course the corporate and government levels, we probably won't have enough time to really save ourselves from
Mm-hmm.
the mistakes or the silly things we've done in the past to try and build a future for ourselves. I don't see that happening now, let alone the ones we're supposed to build for our children. So yes, I have now consciously started cutting down on the waste I produce personally or my family
Mm-hmm.
produces, to
Mm-hmm.
recycling, not upcycling yet, not an expert
Yeah.
there, and learning the ways. I'm kind of still
Yeah.
struggling there. But recycling, yes.
Mm-hmm.
A slow fashion is something that I'm also looking into. I don't go shopping every month, every week.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I
I
have
mean,
to kind of
that
slow
supports
myself
what you
down.
just said. So yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of these things that I have adopted in the past few years after coming very close to the kind of initiatives and projects that a number of people and Gen Zs also, as
Mm-hmm.
much as the millennials, have taken to in trying
Mm-hmm.
to change the world. So that's a big deal.
That's lovely. And it's so nice to hear it from you, a person who is interacting with so many people literally every single day. And since so long you've been doing this. So thank you so much for sharing that, Annie. All right. Now, I actually wanted to ask you this one thing in particular. Can you share some of your highlights on of being on the show on air?
Yeah, the highlights have to come along with the kind of guests I have interacted with.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Some of them have completely intrigued me. Some of them, I have been in this state of frenzy, call it a fan moment.
mm-hmm,
And I've had quite a few, whether it
uh-huh,
is Ranveer Singh that I met, or
uh-huh,
A.R. Rahman that I interviewed, or Amir Khan that I
uh-huh,
interviewed, to even Begum Abida Parveen. So I've had
uh-huh.
the privilege to interview these stellar individuals in the industry, in the music as well
That's
as the Bollywood
awesome.
industry, to even lately the international artists I have interacted with. I remember back in the
Uh-huh,
day, this was early 2000s, and we had many more of the boy bands coming to India for performances. I
uh-huh,
remember interviewing Westlife, doing a live show for them,
uh-huh,
and also Ian Anderson of Jethro Tull. More
uh-huh.
recently, Katy Perry, who came to
Oh, all
the
right.
studios, and also Gwen Stefani, who was with
Uh-huh.
me. It was an exclusive interview. Both of them did exclusive interviews with me on my show. So yeah, it had some absolutely awesome moments on radio with them, and they
Uh-huh.
loved interacting with me. That makes it even better, I think, and it somewhere validates what you've been doing for so many years, something that you've held so
Mm-hmm.
close to your heart, putting your voice out there, your thoughts out there, to the people. And when you have your listeners and guests telling you how much fun they had with you on the show, it just
Yeah.
makes it good. Makes it really, really good.
I'm sure it does. And you have interacted with the celebrities now. So my next question for you would be, do you find a difference? What difference is it, do you think, between interviewing a common person than a celebrity?
Um, I guess it's each one has his or her own experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I have usually tried and kept it uh, very balanced, because
Mm-hmm.
everyone's here to tell a story. And as a platform,
Mm-hmm.
I've used my show to showcase people coming from every strata of society, right from the
Mm-hmm.
celebrities to the common man.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I guess you have a little more excitement around the stories that celebrities tell you, because there's just a lot of people around them that have invested their time and energy in them. So of course
Mm-hmm.
their experiences may be a little more colorful. But
Mm-hmm.
otherwise, these days, as you've seen in the past few years, with a number of young entrepreneurs coming up, especially
Uh-huh.
in the last year, a number of COVID heroes that have come up, who've
Oh
gone
yes,
out of
yeah.
their way and
Mm-hmm.
done absolutely phenomenal work to try and help
Mm-hmm.
save lives, try and help
Yeah.
people. So I think each experience is as unique as it can get. Yeah, the only
Mm-hmm.
difference between a celebrity and a common man, again, coming back to your question, is that a celebrity brings in with him or her a certain element of awe, which has been built
Uh-huh.
over the years, because that's
Mm-hmm.
really what the industry runs on. And
Yeah.
so that little bit of glamour kind of comes onto the show as well, because you're waiting to hear what your icon is saying about his or her experience, and so that maybe makes it a little more special for especially the fans. But
Uh-huh.
otherwise, every story is as unique. I mean, I have featured innumerable COVID heroes on my
Mm-hmm.
show in the past year, and
Mm-hmm.
it is astounding the kind of work they end up doing and the kind of struggles they have gone through, and
Mm-hmm.
yet come out successful in it.
Mm-hmm. Could you share one of the stories that touched your heart?
This is a very recent one that comes to mind. In fact, there are quite a few, but I'd like to say this. Um, Her name is Upasana Makati. She is
Mm-hmm.
a young entrepreneur who
Mm-hmm.
around 8 years ago started India's first lifestyle braille magazine. It's called White Print, and
Mm-hmm.
went on to pick up quite a bit. In fact, her attempt was to make this world a lot more inclusive, especially when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to differently abled people. And in this
Mm-hmm.
case, the ones who are blind sighted or are impaired as far as their eyesight is concerned, and how
Mm-hmm.
she did not let any of the corporates or the so-called venture capitalists take her dream away from her, because
Uh-huh.
she had a number of people coming to her with investments and huge amounts of investments. But the kind of honesty and genuineness she wanted with the magazine was to
Mm-hmm.
not push it into the mainstream business or entrepreneurial arena, but keep it very
Mm-hmm.
personal, where her
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
involvement with every reader
Mm-hmm.
was also personal, and it actually helped them grow and evolve. So that's one story. The other story is the 22-year-old who started off with the Google Sheets. This was during the second wave, which hit Delhi
Mm-hmm.
very bad. So there were, before that, actually, in the first wave, the Google Sheet, what she's opened up was for when her friends and colleagues started asking her about, because she also happened to be in the human resource area, if there
Okay.
were any internship jobs, not looking for money, just pure internships with companies.
Mm-hmm.
So when people started asking her for jobs and people started talking about the ones that they have available, corporates and small companies, she put up a
Mm-hmm.
Google Sheet spread where she saw students all the way from the US, even Massachusetts and other Wisconsin,
Mm-hmm.
looking up for jobs on that Google Sheet spread. And that went on for about 3 to 4 months. And in the second wave, she put another Google Sheet out to try and connect people with oxygen cylinders and masks and other medical
Mm-hmm.
equipment that they would require, and also hospital beds availability. And
Uh-huh.
it was very touching when she said that one of her close friends, not just one, but a number of her close friends who lost their loved ones because they couldn't find hospital beds. And she kind of had taken it personally, and she was going through this trauma,
Mm-hmm.
despite the fact that she actually had stood up to try to help so many people through the second wave. So, yeah, when you hear these stories, they're heart wrenching. And you're
Mm-hmm.
also grateful to have this sort of code of conduct even in the newer generations these days,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's heartwarming.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that, Annie. Before we go, I would love to ask you this, your message for our moms.
Every time you feel that you are unable to do it, every time you feel you're down in the dumps, I want to tell you this from my own personal experience, that stop comparing yourself to anybody around you. You've got to pull
Mm-hmm.
yourself up, and you've got to move forward, because trust me, I mean, I didn't know this. I had my own inhibitions and insecurities, but there's always, only if you keep that frame of mind, the most beautiful things waiting to happen for you. So keep pulling yourself up, and keep moving forward. Just keep moving forward. Don't let anything, anybody. This is the line. This is Will Smith's line from The Pursuit of Happiness, where he tells
Mm-hmm.
his son that don't even let your father tell you that you can't do it. And I'd like to say
True.
that to every mother: don't let your husbands or even your children tell you, or your parents
Mm-hmm.
or your in-laws tell you, you cannot do it, because you can. You really can.
That's amazing, Annie. I think you are making difference in so many people's lives. And, just listening to your voice, that enthusiasm, that energy makes their day wonderful. So thank you for doing that. And thank you for coming on the show.
Oh, it was lovely speaking with you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for letting me talk my heart out.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Avni from Mom's Talk. Help me spread the word and join me on my mission of motivating other moms by sharing the video. Thank you for watching.